I think we're all very good at bothering people. I think that we could
God.
definitely convince whichever filmmaker or distributor has these to be like, can we just have one?
Or we could start an online campaign to get them to mass produce them.
So that everyone gets to enjoy.
Yeah.
Patrick Willems, he for the people.
Thank you. I try. Hello and welcome back to Staff Picks, the show about curating the selection for a video rental store to be. We are once again here in Film Noir Cinema, one of the last functioning video rental stores in New York City, and also a movie theater. I'm Patrick Willems, joined once again by Jordan Olds, Jordan Searles, and my co-host Danielle Radford. Which brings us to today's subject, Indian cinema. And not just Bollywood, which is Hindi cinema, but we're talking Tollywood, Collywood, any of the many, many film industries they have within India.
We should have filmed this episode in Dollywood.
We should have. Yeah, that's all we got. We just got Hollywood and Dollywood here.
I know, we need more.
I know, what a lame country. Anyway.
Way more woods.
Way more woods. Anyway.
Into the woods.
So one thing I should say right now is that, like, I'm really excited about this episode because earlier this year, I worked with my friend, film critic Siddhant Adlaka, on this giant, like, feature-length video about Indian cinema, where he introduced me to Bollywood, and we went to India in March and shot the video in Mumbai. And so I basically spent, like, 2 months doing homework for this specific episode.
Yeah.
And so I'm like ready to talk about this stuff, and I learned a lot. And also, one important thing that I learned that is relevant to this episode, because you might notice we do not have our usual shelf right here, because basically over the past 15 years or so, the physical media market in India just totally collapsed. I'll put it this way. RRR is one of the biggest Indian movies of the 21st century. It has no Blu-ray or DVD release, even in India. It just doesn't exist that way. Basically, streaming platforms there like Z5 are, I guess, just so cheap that everyone just fully switched to streaming. And so there just is no physical media. And so for a lot of these movies, there is no physical version that we could put on the shelf. And also some of the ones that, like, even movies that were, you know, released years ago, movies that might come up here today, even some of those, if you try to buy a DVD of it, a lot of the DVDs are just terribly made and won't even work.
Oh.
So yeah, India produces more movies than any other country on Earth, and fewer DVDs than basically any
country
of them.
on Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that that's kind of the piece of it is like whatever wins here. Yeah. We may or may not use a bootleg copy in the store. We may allegedly there's a bootleg copy until maybe we bug somebody enough times to get them to make an official Blu-ray release of the thing that we picked. So that's how it's gonna work.
I think we're all very good at bothering people. I think that we could definitely convince whichever filmmaker or distributor has these to be like, can we just have one?
Or we could start an online campaign to get them to mass produce them.
So that everyone gets to enjoy.
Yeah.
Patrick Willems, he for the people.
Thank you. I try. Okay, let's get going on this. I can't wait to see what you all picked. Jordan, let's start with you.
Yeah, that's apropos because this kind of came up from you guys telling me that I needed to watch RRR, and I watched it.
We were just so shocked that you hadn't seen it.
I was shocked that I hadn't seen it because I had heard about it. I was excited to watch it. I was like, 3-hour musical, I'm in. I'm a musical theater nerd. I'm ready.
But also, it's like the hardest action movie in the world.
1000%. I loved watching it, and I got excited to dive into other
Tigers flying.
Tigers flying around, and they're flying around, and they're friends. I love that.
So wait, is this your pick?
My pick is actually Sholay.
Hell yeah!
Sholay, I found out through my mini dive, is the biggest Indian movie.
It's the most famous, most popular Indian movie of all time.
Of all time, and it kind of is the template for RRR. It's like an RRR of the 70s, and I love that, I think, a little more because I love the style of cinema that they're replicating. It feels like watching a spaghetti western with zero cowboys. It's awesome.
Yeah. Not to just turn this into like, now Patrick comes in for a history lesson.
No, do it.
All of these.
I want the history.
Oh, no, we don't want to know anything that's logical or makes sense.
Yeah.
Look, or give us any kind of context about the things we're talking about.
This isn't an educational show. But Sholay kind of like crystallized what became known as like a masala movie, as in, like masala being like a mix of spices, and Sholay being like, oh, this is like every kind of movie tossed in, like into one thing. It's a Western in the style of like Sergio Leone movies, but then it's also a musical. It's also a like grand operatic tragedy. It's got everything.
I also love in this movie that there's obvious Raiders of the Lost Ark, Golden Era Hollywood references along with the spaghetti Western vibe. Like, the whole thing kind of feels like Once Upon a Time in the West, which is, in my opinion, like the best example of like a movie ever. I love Once Upon a Time in the West.
It's so good.
It feels like what a movie should feel like to like when I first think about the idea. But,
are you thinking of the Harry Styles line?
What?
No, I'm not.
My favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie.
I can't stand him.
But he's not in Sholay, don't worry.
Well, here's the thing. I guess that Harry Styles and I have one thing in common.
Yeah.
And that we like when a movie is a movie.
That's nice.
My last point about this movie is I've seen everyone else's picked and no one picked it, and I thought that someone should pick this thing.
I totally agree. I mean, it's the most famous Indian movie.
Yeah,
we should have it on yeah.
There was a moment where I thought I was going to pick like a Telugu movie, and it felt too similar to like RRR for me, and I'm assuming someone's bringing that up.
I picked RRR.
Someone had to.
Someone had to.
RRR, honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time. It is everything I have ever wanted in every piece of media I have ever read, consumed, watched, anything. It is about the power of friendship. It is about, obviously, like the power of revolution. It is about the power of, I mean, there is love, but really it's about a romance for the ages. There is also a reason, talk about bangers, there's a reason why, depending on which version you watch, either Desi Nach or Natu Natu was such a huge, huge song. There's a reason why that went to the Oscars. And to speak on the charisma of the two main actors, there's also a reason why during that sequence of the Oscars, everyone I knew was texting me being like, that's not who them men's.
Yeah.
Them not my men's. One my man. Ram and Beam. My babies.
Two of the most rizzed to the sun. It's unbelievable.
And the fact that they can literally, this is one of those movies where they can do everything. They are soft in moments. Beam especially gets a lot of really like
the dancing,
goofy comedy. The dancing. One of my favorite Get Ready songs is that. That dude is plucked out of like.
Ram Charan is maybe the most handsome man in the world.
It is. I mean, they're both really hot, but like, it is really ridiculous. And
that guy is the most conventionally handsome-looking man I've ever seen in my life.
Even with a mustache, and I'm not like a mustache.
I mean, but like, what a mustache he's got.
Oh, it's so powerful.
The care put into those tigers. It was just so well. I was obsessed with it because I was like, those aren't real tigers. But I believe that they're real in my heart. I mean,
the scene where Beam captures the tiger at the beginning, and when he's holding it and apologizing it to like, I'm sorry, you have to help me serve a greater purpose, and you find out what that purpose is, and it's good.
It's the power of friendship. It's the power of
music, dance,
love, dance, revolution, all of those great things. RRR, again, it's one of those movies, and it is. Apparently, we're all having a discussion now about how long movies should be, and I agree. There's a reason that some movies should be 90 minutes. RR is not a movie that should be 90 minutes. I could have watched that for another half an hour and been totally fine. It's already like 3.5 hours? Yeah, I could have watched it.
It earns its runtime. Okay, we gotta move on.
We gotta move on.
We gotta move on. We can do this forever. Jordan.
Okay. So my choice is DDLJ, which is...
the full title is Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge.
It's a beautiful love story about these two extremely attractive young Indian people who are traveling in Europe, and they meet and there's a connection. But oh no, the girl, she's promised to someone else, and her father doesn't want her to be with any other man. But this guy, he won't give up. And it is the 3-hour, maybe 3.5-hour journey of their love.
It's like, yeah, it's 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like the first half, like, because there's an intermission, of course. The first half is all set in Europe, and the second half is all set in India.
Yeah. It was a directorial debut, and it was also the first pairing of this couple of actors who are in multiple films together, including Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, which is the first time I'd seen them together.
Well, so I haven't seen this, but so it's the lead couple. It's essentially like one of the, any of those Hollywood couples where they're like, oh, we're just gonna, have chemistry, so why would we?
Yeah, they're in like
never
multiple movies together.
Hot.
By the way, this is the last time we'll discuss this.
He was a very like major actor. What's his...
Oh, as of this moment, he is the biggest Bollywood star.
Yes.
Shah Rukh Khan, who had 2 huge movies come out this year alone, Pathaan and Jawan. As in, I'll put it this way. When I was in Mumbai, we went to his house. We didn't go inside his house. We went outside his house. He lives in Mumbai. And at all times, there is a crowd gathered outside his house, at the front gate to his house. He has a platform that, if he's home, he'll go stand on to wave to the crowd.
Oh,
it is,
gosh.
This guy, okay.
Everyone loves this guy so much. Every single time I watch a movie with him, I'm trying to, because like, he's so charismatic. I don't like his hair though.
I was gonna bring up the hair.
The hair is the thing that really confuses me, because he's so, like, he has beautiful eyes. I get it. The charm, the humor, I get everything. The hair really gets me. What is that?
They all have...
Well, it was that era. He doesn't always have that hair. His hair today looks very different.
Everything I've seen him in, he kind of has sort of that hair, but which is very similar to one of the guys in Sholay. They both seem to have like 70s chops and
his is like, because like in
I like it.
And feathers.
In DDLJ, because they're college students, they're both students who live in England, and then they're both backpacking through Europe, and they hate each other, but then they get stranded together, and oops, they fell in love.
Yeah, enemies to lovers, baby.
Yeah,
also, important thing that I have to note here just about DDLJ, her dad, the one who's like, you must marry the man I tell you to.
So crazy intense.
Do you know who he is?
No.
He's Mola Ram from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
What?
That's why he's so intense. Really? He's the guy who ripped people's hearts out.
Yeah, he's
her
good
dad.
actor.
So I almost picked DDLJ, and then I figured someone else would. And so I'm like, okay, great. Well, I will have it in there. So the movie I picked is also a Shah Rukh Khan movie, because he's the best. His nickname is King Khan. And so the one I went with is Om Shanti Om from 2007, which is, once again, a big musical romantic comedy that also has action scenes and is also a thriller. The reason I picked Om Shanti Om, other than it being like deliriously entertaining, is it feels like, I was thinking like, with the Staff Picks Wall and all of that, like this is a great intro to Bollywood and Indian cinema, because Om Shanti Om is like about Bollywood. Starts in the 1970s, where Shah Rukh Khan is an aspiring actor who's in love with this famous movie star played by Deepika Padukone. It's her very first movie. She became a big enough Bollywood star that she's actually in American movies. She has a major role in the modern masterpiece XXX: The Return of Xander Cage.
Right.
But like, she's the one who introduced Natu Natu at the Oscars this year.
Right.
And she re-teamed with Shah Rukh Khan this year in Pathaan, and she has an extended cameo in Jawan. So like them as a, we're talking about like Shah Rukh Khan and Kajol being in a bunch of movies together. Same thing with these two. But so he's in love with her, and then, minor spoilers, they both get murdered by an evil producer. And then the movie jumps ahead 30 years, and Shah Rukh Khan has been reincarnated. It's a reincarnation revenge movie. He wakes up now, and he's suddenly a big current-day Bollywood star, and so it's all about the film industry. But then he has to like regain the memories of the past, and then track down that producer, and basically.
So it's like super meta.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like there's
yeah.
there's a centerpiece in the movie, which is this giant musical number, which is straight up one of the catchiest songs I've ever heard. I've had it stuck in my head all day. I have not been able to get it out of my head through this entire shoot because just I thought about the song again. But so it's this musical number, and during the musical number, there are like 35 cameos from like every major star in Bollywood who all show up during this song.
So this is like their end game?
Basically, yes, except they're all just singing and dancing, and in like the best song ever. But then it then morphs into like this thriller as they get the revenge. Also, to be clear, reincarnation revenge movies are just a thing in India, and so I'm just like, it has everything. It's about Bollywood. Also, the director, Farah Khan, she is also the choreographer, which I think is cool. It is such a blast. I'm not wrong, right?
You're not wrong. I think it's so funny that you picked this movie, because we've talked several times, even on the show. You're not a wrestling guy.
Right.
This is the most wrestling MF-ass movie I have ever seen in my life.
More than RRR?
More than RRR.
No.
Really?
I think it is. This particular storyline correlates almost exactly plot point-wise to the biggest wrestling story of all time, which is Sting versus Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay. I'm aware of that.
That plot point starts with the biggest guy in the industry burning down the studio, except this one, it is a wrestling company, and there are casualties, and he doesn't change his name to Mike, he changes his name to Hollywood Hulk Hogan, because he went to Hollywood or whatever. And then it's a story about Sting the wrestler reincarnating himself and haunting Hulk Hogan into making a wrongdoing. And there is an equivalent to the big 9-minute song where they just have a bunch of cameos and take a break from the movie because Hulk Hogan and Sting have a tag team match with Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone. There's a little wrestling fan inside of you, and one day it will grow.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be
so
the next
funny.
time I'm in town.
You just
We're
gotta
going
find-
to crack your egg.
Okay.
Are we in it now, or are we in the discussion? Of
I think
what
we got to
pick?
get into this.
So I'm just like, look, these 4 movies all rule, and thank you for picking them. I'd be happy with any of
You
these.
just made like a perfect case for like a gateway movie, and I think when it comes to something where it's like we don't even know if we're gonna be able to get a physical copy of this, RRR is obviously amazing. It's great. It's one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. But all of y'all like brought movies which are not only fantastic in their own ways, but are also different kinds of gateways into opening up and creating curiosity and wanting someone to explore like these movies more.
So I was actually gonna make a case saying that maybe it should be RRR. I watched Om Shanti Om, and it fucking whipped so much ass. It's so good. But I watched it first before I watched kind of anything else. And it can be a gateway to the other stuff, but it also is one of those instances where, does this work better once you've seen everything? Or
I
where
watched
does
it after
splinter?
as like the last one after I'd watched
Right.
a bunch, and so it felt like a culmination of it. Arguing as any of these is tough. I do think it is most likely that anyone going into the video store, if they've seen an Indian movie, it probably would be RRR.
Yeah. Yep.
And
That
so
was
even
my
though it
thinking.
was literally most of our gateway movie to Indian cinema, but I'm just like, I'd love to have our pick be like, what is the next one
I agree.
after you watch that?
I agree.
I've tried to get my friends to watch RRR, and they're just, a lot of them are like too long, because we are having the narrative now in Twitter and in film discussions, like everything's too long.
It's
Everything
so
should be
annoying. Just be patient. Shut up.
I agree. It's so
movies
fucking
have
annoying.
always been long.
Movies have always been
Kinda
long.
the
We just
thing.
need to bring
Plays
back
along,
the
moves along.
intermission, and then we're good. We're fine.
Right.
Sometimes movies are long, and sometimes they aren't, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes
Yes.
a 90-minute movie feels like forever.
Yeah. RRR is a struggle for some people, and I don't know if we should totally throw it out because it is like it is the reason for the season. It's the reason we're having this conversation and doing this. It's the reason you made the videos.
I know, I don't know, maybe it's because like I've convinced all my friends to watch RRR.
Totally.
That I'm just like, and again, I've seen this movie so many times. I
Totally.
love it so much. I would just love to be like, could we probe a tiny bit deeper for like the staff pick?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's kind of how I feel
Yeah,
about it.
I agree.
Here's the thing. Your two picks are actually like among people in India, really like the most popular ones.
That is
Those are
also
like,
very
DDLJ is still to this day, and I know because I went to it, it's playing in one theater in Mumbai and has been playing continuously since 1995.
Right.
Oh,
People still show up and they cheer when Shah Rukh Khan comes on screen for the first time.
okay. Well, then we have to do that one.
People are so serious about him.
They
like
love it.
learning about this from like Indian trends is like so crazy. It's like this is the guy.
I'm on board for Om Shanti Om or DDLJ. Both Shah Rukh Khan should be the gateway. The classicness of a DDLJ, it like makes a ton of sense. It's still in theaters, but also Om Shanti Om has Shah Rukh Khan ripped as fuck, wearing 7 jeans because it's 2007.
Yes.
So
He looks like
seven jeans. Wow, what
He looks like he Terminator
What a drop.
teleported into the buckle and then got dressed in brown. It's so crazy.
It is wild.
I will go with the consensus on this one. Because again, this is one of those ones. I think any of these would be dope.
Yeah. How do you feel?
I mean, I'm good with going with DDLJ. I mean, it's my pick, but like, I do think that it's a really good kind of introduction to what Bollywood film is.
Yeah.
You know, and I think also that it's just like, it's very easy to get into.
It literally starts in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it starts at like, is it like Trafalgar Square or something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah. It like begins there. Also, the songs are so good.
The songs are so
songs-
good.
Look,
All
let's
right.
do it.
That sounds
let's,
like we've
let's
reached
say,
a consensus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dilwale
agree.
Dulhania Le Jayenge. That's our pick.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to find a copy, some kind of something of DDLJ, and it's going to be in the store. Make a real one.
Oh, okay, wait, for the outro, Danielle, could you say it's our pick and go like that, and we'll just like make a poster appear between your hands?
Yes, I can. All right, so we have reached a consensus and we are going with DDLJ. Look at how fancy this is. This is not fake at all. It is real, just like my love for all of you. We will see you in the next video. Thank you for checking out this episode of Staff Picks.
Oh, we should all do the Shah Rukh Khan pose.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that? Oh, yes. Is it like towards center or the same way?
You kind of lean to the right a little bit, and you arms out like that.
Yeah, like this.
There we go.
All right, we all got to do it in sync then.
Okay.
Okay, so we're leaning
Are
to
we
the
doing it
right.
to the wide?
Yeah.
Left arm is a little bent.
Left,
right?
left arm is a bit more like curved up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
That is also a wrestling pose. That's Randy Orton.
oh my God, it's Randy Orton.